please stand for the singing of the national anthem and remain standing for the invocation by David J. Gross, pastor of St. Peter's Church of Christ.
God of all life, we thank you this day for our lives, our dreams, our hopes. We are grateful for this rite of passage and graduation from high school. Graduates know that a part of them they will leave behind at Marion Steele. But they can take with them wonderful memories of friends and faculty, coursework and extracurricular activities, and a host of emotions and feelings. From this place of acceptance and nurture, they now move out into the unknown. We don't know what the future holds, but we do know who holds the future. Help them to feel prepared for what is before them, armed with knowledge, growing maturity, and your holy guidance. May they learn in life that learning is a lifetime process. Help them also to learn that just as important as learning how to make a living is learning how to live. This day, we pause to remember all the love that surrounds us and all of those who helped to bring them to this stage today and this stage of their lives. Teachers, parents, family, friends. And as we are here in this place to honor them today, may they never forget to honor you, dear God, with their lives and all they do. Hear our prayer, dear Lord. Amen.
Please be seated. Good afternoon. It's my pleasure to welcome you to the 109th Baccalaureate and Commencement program of the Amherst Schools. I wish to recognize our guests, members of the Board of Education, Mrs. Sandy Friedman, President, Mr. Ronald Jacobosi, Vice President, Mr. James Berthold, Mrs. Carol Jajak, and Mrs. Jennifer Musgrave. Members of the administration, Mr. Howard Dolmage, Superintendent, Mr. Timothy Logar, Assistant Superintendent, Mr. Al Al-Hindi, Treasurer, Mr. Robert Wearsome, Administrative Assistant. Mr. James Piper, Assistant Principal at the Lorain County Joint Vocational School. Mrs. Lois Von Gutten, Associate Principal at Steele High School. Mr. Richard Roth, Assistant Principal at Steele High School. Mr. David Angelanti, Principal at Powers Elementary. Mr. Dan Trent, Principal at Harris Elementary. Mr. Steve Demko, Principal at Shoup Middle School. And Mr. William Marley, Principal of Nord Junior High School. Mr. Kenneth Kowalski, Supervisor of Buildings and Grounds. Dr. Joseph Holschler, School Psychologist. And our special guests today are the members of the faculty of the Amherst Schools seated to my left. Our baccalaureate speaker is Reverend Richard Henry, pastor of the Church of the Nazarene. As our program continues, I ask you to understand that we expect our baccalaureate commencement program to be a dignified ceremony. We are here to honor the members of the class of 1996 for their many years of academic work. I request that all guests refrain from noisy displays, especially as our graduates' names are being read so that they will receive their diploma. I can think of nothing worse than to have a child go spend 13 years of education and then have their name not heard because someone was celebrating their child's recognition. So please, when we get to that point of the program, please be quiet and be respectful of all of our graduates. Thank you.
Beautiful. It is one of my favorite stories. Jorge Rodriguez was known as a Mexican bank robber. He would cross the U.S. border and rob a bank and retreat safely back into his native country. He was so slick that the Texas Rangers could not do anything to capture him. Finally, they dispatched 100 extra Rangers to bring him in. One day a Ranger saw Jorge and he followed him back across the border into his hometown and saw him mixing with his friends, and then he went into his favorite tavern. The big Texas Ranger walked into the tavern, he pulled out his gun, he pointed it to his head, and he said, "I know who you are, Jorge Rodriguez, and I have come to take back all the money you have stolen from the banks of Texas. And if you don't give it to me, I'm going to blow off your head." There was just, however, one little bitty problem. Jorge didn't speak English, and the Texas Ranger didn't speak Spanish. There was, however, one young, enterprising Mexican there who saw the whole thing take place. He stepped up to the Ranger and he says, "I'm bilingual. Would you like me to interpret?" And he said, "Oh, please do." So the young Mexican told Jorge everything the Ranger had said. When he got done, the Jorge Rodriguez looked at the young Mexican and said, "Oh, please tell the big Texas Ranger that I have not spent any of the money I've taken from the banks of Texas. And if he will go to the town well and face north and count down 5 stones, there he'll find all the money that I have stolen. Oh, please tell the big Texas Ranger so he will spare my life." The young Mexican turned to the Ranger and said in perfect English, "Jorge Rodriguez is a very brave man. He says he is ready to die." Ladies and gentlemen, especially you class of 96, I want to be sure that I communicate with you clearly this afternoon. I hope that you will hear what I'm about to say. It could change your life forever. I believe with all my heart. Please cement this one important truth into your brain. Who we are today is the result of our choices made yesterday. Tomorrow, you and I will become what we choose to do today. I believe that. I know that to be true. What we do today will affect us tomorrow. For good or bad, there are consequences to every choice that we make in life. Sometimes the consequences of our choices do not appear for days, months, or maybe even years down the road. But understand, they will come. Choices are powerful because like a stone dropped into a pond, their effects go on and on. I know that you want to make choices that will lead to happiness and prosperity. And so this afternoon, I want to suggest and give you 3 choices that will lead, they're necessary choices that will lead to happiness and prosperity. You with me? Choice number 1. Choose to be a responsible person. If you want to do something to better yourself, better your community, better your family, and better your nation, then choose to be a responsible person. What is responsibility? Responsibility is knowing right from wrong and choosing to do what is right regardless of what others think, say, or do. It is choosing to do what is right even when it is hard or it doesn't immediately benefit you. It's doing your duty when there is no applause. Winston Churchill said it well. The price of greatness is responsibility. But I'll go one step further and I'll say this. The price of maturity is responsibility. If you are not ready to be responsible, you are not ready for manhood or womanhood. Your age, your size do not matter. The fact that you have a diploma and a full-time job does not count. Our world has plenty of educated people who hold full-time jobs who do not behave responsibly, and it's part of the reason why America has the mess that we do today. We can no longer blame our parents, our teachers, and our problems on everyone else. It's time to accept responsibility for who and what you are. And if you do not, you will always be a victim in life. Choose to be a victor rather than a victim. Choose to be responsible. The reward for responsibility is, of course, self-respect and self-satisfaction. It is the ability to be able to live with yourself and like yourself. It's a recognized fact that many young people suffer with a self-esteem problem. Well, it's hard to feel good about yourself when you're behaving irresponsibly. Irresponsible behavior assassinates your self-image. So don't be afraid to quit going along with what others are doing when you know in your heart it isn't right. And do what is right and what you're supposed to do, even when it isn't easy and when no one is looking. Edward Guest has written a poem entitled, Am I True to Myself? And part of it reads like this. I want to go out with my head erect. I want to deserve all men's respect. But here in the struggle for fame and pelf, I want to be able to like myself. I don't want to look at myself and know that I'm bluster and bluff and empty show. I can never hide myself from me. I know what others may never see. I know what others may never know. I can never fool myself, and so, whatever happens, I want to be self-respecting and conscience-free. Is that what you want to be able to say? Is that how you want to be able to live? Then choose to be responsible. You want a happy and prosperous life? Choose to be responsible, number one. Number two, choose to be yourself. Now, I can hear it now. Well, who else do you think I'm going to be, man? I don't know. You tell me. One of the biggest problems I see with young people is that they are trying to be like somebody or everybody else, and so they can't be themselves. Young people, be the person God has created you to be. Be courageous enough to be yourself. Sometimes it isn't easy, but life isn't for wimps. Robert Cody said, have courage to live, anyone can die. That's pretty good, huh? Everyone's going to die. I tell you this, anyone can conform as well. I want to challenge you to be the person that God created you to be. God made each one of us wonderfully different from everybody else. And if you can get past the what will they think mode of living, you can blossom into an attractive, appealing person. I see young people all the time who are so concerned about being cool and about being accepted that they are afraid to be who and what they really are. What a shame. What a waste. I dare you, young people, to break out of the mold. I dare you to break away from the herd and be yourself. Be courageous enough to be the person God has created you to be. Are you all right? You hanging with me? You're doing good for graduating today. Let me give you one more choice for a happy and prosperous life. You ready? Number one is choose to be responsible. 2 is choose to be yourself. And folks, that goes for all of us here. Number 3, choose to make the Bible your guidebook for life. Now let me stop right there. Lest someone say to me, hey man, talk to my hand because my ears aren't listening. Some people laugh and scoff thinking the Bible is outdated. It's ancient mythology, man. Get real. Okay. Story is told back during the Second World War about a South Sea Islander who proudly displayed his Bible to a GI who had landed on his island. GI kind of chuckled and he said, well, we've kind of outgrown that kind of thing. The native smiled back and said, well, it's a good thing we didn't because you'd have been our meal by now. One observer noted that a Bible which is falling apart usually belongs to someone who isn't. People say, oh, that's a crutch for weak people. Well, I'd venture to say that everyone in this room then has a so-called crutch because everybody in this room is weak. We are weak in the sense that we all need someone or somebody, something outside of ourselves to help make us strong and give us the ability to cope confidently and successfully with life. In fact, let's consider part of the reason why we have a drug problem in America. It is because we as a culture have modeled dependency upon drugs. America is the largest consumer of legal drugs of any nation on the face of the earth. When we start having problems, it's not uncommon to turn to drugs. And usually the drugs of preference are kind of simple, but it's nicotine and alcohol. I mean, how many of you heard, man, I need a cigarette. I need a drink. And wake up in the morning and say, man, I need a cup of coffee to get me going. Kind of sounds like a crutch to me. Some of you attempt to go out and get smashed tonight so you can have a good time. Man, it kind of sounds like a crutch to me. You see, if God is a crutch, then understand this. He doesn't anesthetize my brain or my physical capabilities. He won't cause me to weave when I drive down the road. He doesn't increase the number of highway fatalities. God doesn't give us cancer or emphysema. In fact, this nation would be a whole lot better off if people turned to God and the Bible for strength and help. Thomas Jefferson understood the facts when he said, people who read the Bible make good citizens. Abraham Lincoln once declared, all the good from the Savior of the world is communicated through the Bible. But for this book we could not know right from wrong. All things desirable to man are contained in it. Ladies and gentlemen, young people, there are moral absolutes. The Bible reveals them. And if you will live your life by the book, you can live a happy and prosperous life. I know it, I believe it. Young people, ladies and gentlemen, I challenge you to make wise choices. In fact, make these 3 wise choices. Choose to be responsible. Choose to be yourself. Make the Bible your guidebook for life. I want to tell you a story you're going to love. And I'm going to give you 5 sentences and I'm out of here. There was a burglar who'd go up to homes at night and knock on the door or ring the doorbell. If there's no answer, he'd pick the lock and go in. He walks up to one house this one night, knocks on the door, there's no answer. So he picks the lock and he enters the house. And as soon as he opens the door, he hears this voice that says, I see you and Jesus sees you. Man, this guy is startled. He says, who said that? This voice comes out of the dark again. I see you and Jesus sees you. Man, he is nervous. He grabs his flashlight and turns it on and begins to pan the room. And finally, over there in the corner, the beam lands on a parrot. And as the beam hits the parrot says, "I see you, and Jesus sees you." He laughs. Think, "Oh, what a sucker." Turns off his light, steps into the house, closes the door, turns on the light, and looks over in the corner of the room again. And there in the corner below the parrot's perch is a huge Doberman pinscher. And the parrot looks down and says, at the dog, and says, "Sick him, Jesus." I may name my dog Jesus. Ladies and gentlemen, young people, live each day in the knowledge that every choice that you make will affect you in all of your tomorrows. Live each day in the knowledge that one day you will stand before a holy God and give an account for everything you've done during your tenure here on this earth. May God grant you wisdom, direction, and a desire to seek Him. God bless you, class of 96. I love you. I'm praying for your success. Thank you.
Commencement addresses will now be presented by the members of the class of 1996. The speakers will be in this order: Heather Bass, representing the Lorain County Joint Vocational School; David Voss, the class president; and Christopher Stillwell, the valedictorian. At this time, would Heather Bass please come forward?
Good afternoon, Amherst Board of Education, administration, staff, friends and family, and most importantly, fellow graduates of the class of 1996. Do not follow the path. Go where there is no path and leave a trail. This statement represents the brave and inspired individuals who as sophomores chose to go off the beaten path of traditional education to leave a trail of their own at the Lorain County Joint Vocational School. This new path we chose to take 2 years ago offered many choices. In addition to academics, we were offered specialized training in the career of our choice. Our training went beyond a classroom setting. In lab, we had the opportunity to serve the public as we would if we were already employed. In a situation where a person is treated as an adult, he or she exhibits more responsibility, providing respect for themselves and others. The fact that we were treated as adults upon arrival at JVS made our transition easier and more productive. Although we left our friends at our home schools, we were able to meet new people. Not only were these people simply unknown to us, but many possessed different cultural backgrounds, learning styles, and attitudes than those which we were accustomed to. This offered us an opportunity for personal growth. Whether in the classroom or a social setting, we were able to broaden our communication skills to adapt to the various situations we were in and the different people we were communicating with. Without the support and encouragement from the caring staffs of Marion, Steele, and JVS, many of us would not be as successful as we are at this time in our lives. The instructors and counselors have always been available to offer advice, help us make wise decisions, and continuously set a positive example. The past 4 years of high school have gone by very quickly. Here we are, our exams are finished, and we're graduating. But let me remind you that life is not a destination, but a journey. Although our high school education is complete, we will never stop learning.
Mr. Dolmich, members of the school board, Mr. Boynton, faculty and staff of Marion Steele, family, friends, fellow graduates. Well, here we are. 4 years ago, many of us came through the doors of Marion Steele for the first time. And as I stand here now, I am aware that perhaps some of us are leaving Marion Steele for the very last time. Today is a day when commencement speakers and family and friends would talk to you about the future and the challenges we have before us. Not me. I want to talk to you not about how far we have to go, but about how far we have come. As incoming freshmen, most of us were apprehensive, naive, and possibly a little afraid of what high school life would be like. Today, as we gather as a class for what is very likely the last time, I think we are more confident in our abilities, a little more responsible in our actions, and more mature in our outlook of life. Marion Steele High School is a good school. It has a proud tradition of academic excellence and athletic achievement. And our senior class this year has provided the leadership to maintain and advance those traditions. Academically, our class ranked in the top 3 in Lorain County for every senior proficiency test. We had 1 National Merit finalist and a total of 36 seniors who were members of the National Honor Society. Our academic team did well by finishing 1st in the Southwest Conference team tournament and 2nd in the Lorain County Scholastic Games. And most importantly, Amherst ranked 1st in a plain dealer study of overall academic achievement of 80 schools in Northeast Ohio. Athletically, our class represented Amherst in our traditional high standard of athletic success and sportsmanship. Playing in an always highly competitive Southwest Conference, Amherst won championships in football, boys cross country, girls cross country, and boys track. We also had 3 All-Ohio athletes, in addition to numerous others who had all conference and district honors. Our cheerleaders cheered our teams into victories and entertained us with their precision dance routines throughout the year, and then participated in the national competitions in Walt Disney World. Our success as a class also extends to the performing arts. Our senior choir members have had a chance to visit and perform in Nashville, St. Louis, Chicago, and Atlanta. Our choir also had 2 senior all-state members. And our band, always a source of pride to both our community and our school, did their normal outstanding job throughout the school year. And it was a senior class member who this year won the John Philip Sousa Award, which is the highest award given to a band member. Throughout all the success of this past school year, there's been one common theme: senior leadership. Be proud of our school's success and your part helping accomplish it. Take pride in how far we have come, from naive freshmen to senior leaders, because it is through our efforts and hard work that we have accomplished as much as we have. During our 4 years together, you have elected me your class president each year. For that, I thank you. In the years to come, it is an honor that I will look back on with fond memories. Today we sit here as classmates and friends. Tomorrow at this time, we will be former classmates, but we will still be friends. We will forever be linked through life as Amherst, class of '96. The bonds formed by 12 years don't just go away because graduation day comes and goes. It is true that the best of our lives are yet to come, but what we have had together was unique. Better in the future, that is likely. Good in the past, that is sure. The class of '96 now takes its rightful place as one of the great classes. We are better for having attended Marion Steele. But also remember, Marion Steele is a little better for our having attended. Take care, be happy, be proud, and God bless.
faculty, administrators, members of the school board, guests, and most of all to my fellow students. It is both an honor and a privilege to be given the opportunity to speak with you this afternoon. Addressing everyone here is a daunting task. Therefore, if at some point you find my words do not particularly apply to you, I believe they're still selling popcorn in the lobby. As many of my classmates know, my search for a theme for today's message was long and frustrating. I was looking for something that spoke equally of the past and of the future. My search ended in a 5,000-year-old proverb. Many of you probably know. It goes like this. Yesterday is already a dream. Tomorrow is only a vision. But today, well lived, makes every yesterday a dream of happiness, and every tomorrow a vision of hope. This proverb, found in ancient writings almost as old as civilization itself. Is it not incredible that this wisdom still applies in today's highly technical, sophisticated society? You know, our dreams of yesterday have been in everyone's mind lately. As our high school years pass away, dreams are all we have left. A dream of passing through those glass doors 4 years ago on our first day as freshmen, and a dream of passing through those doors on our way out 3 days ago, knowing we would never return as students. We've learned a lot in 12 years. Everything from don't eat paste to William Shakespeare, Abraham Lincoln, and Albert Einstein. To the parents, you've watched us grow. You wish that some of us will continue to grow, and you wish some of them would have stopped a couple years ago. You remember our first step, our first tricycle, our first bicycle. Thank God you calmed down by the time we took the car out the first time. To the teachers, you will always have those classes that you can never forget. And you have those classes that you'd rather forget. Whether we can admit it or not, our parents and our teachers have done more for us than we will ever know, and more than we will ever repay. I would now like to take a moment to offer a heartfelt thank you on behalf of my classmates and myself to our parents and our teachers and all of the others who supported us and guided us. You know, each of us looks back fondly at the multitude of events which have brought us to today well lived. And today should be well lived, despite the rain. After all, this is graduation, a day of joy and celebration. What better way to spend it than sitting under spotlights for 2.5 hours in breathable, all-natural, water-repellent polyester? Seriously, today is about more than a tassel. It means more than a gown or a diploma. We are at a crossroads. A turning point has been reached where our dreams of yesterday must not become a hammock, but rather a springboard from which we launch ourselves into that brave new world of tomorrow. Today is a day which we can savor our happiness. As students, we stand a little taller, knowing the piece of paper inside that green folder means that the foundation to our future has been laid in the past 4 years. Today is a day for parents and friends to smile a little brighter, knowing of their role in our achievements. Today, well lived, is a day in which we all pause for celebration and recognition and saluting the achievements of this remarkable class. Also today is a day for us to live up to our potential and seek tomorrow's vision of hope. Now, tomorrow is more than Monday. Don't misunderstand me. It is the future, and the future is uncertain. You are no more aware or in control of tomorrow than I am. Soon, all of us will go our separate ways. What will become of us is largely our doing, and so is how we will handle it. Dr. Seuss, who taught us all as toddlers about green eggs and ham, now teaches us in his book oh, the places you'll go. This about tomorrow. Step with care and great tact, and remember that life's a great balancing act. Just never forget to be dexterous and deft, and never mix up your right foot with your left. And will you succeed? Yes, you will. Indeed, 98 3/4% guaranteed. When we have gone our separate ways, remember that dream of happiness which we've shared. Live well all of your todays, and hope in those visions of tomorrow. I leave you all now with words from William Shakespeare's Julius Caesar. At the end of the play, Brutus and Cassius meet for the last time. They bid each other farewell, as I bid you, parents and friends, faculty and administrators, and most of all, my fellow students, farewell. But since the affairs of men rest still uncertain, let's reason with the worst that may befall, and that this is the very last time we shall speak together. Therefore our everlasting farewell take. Forever and forever farewell, my friends. If we do meet again, we'll smile indeed. If not, 'tis true this parting was well made.
At this time, it is my pleasure to introduce the newest members of the Steele High School Academic Hall of Fame. The Hall of Fame is sponsored by the Amherst Eagles. To be chosen for induction into the Academic Hall of Fame, a student must meet at least one of the following criteria: be a National Merit finalist, receive a perfect score on any subtest of either the ACT or the SAT, or rank in the top 1% of the graduating class. It is my privilege to introduce the newest inductees to the Amherst Steele High School Academic Hall of Fame. Lindsay Dietrich, Amy Graham, Aaron Lee, Christopher Stillwell, and Matt Britt. Matt is this year's salutatorian. A round of applause for the newest members of the Academic Hall of Fame.
Graduates of the class of 1996, members of the Board of Education, our faculty and staff of the Amherst schools, and most of all, the parents and grandparents and guests. You honor us with your presence today, and we dedicate this program to you. We welcome you to the 109th commencement ceremony that is held or has been held by the Amherst Schools. It is my pleasure today, as it has been for the past years, to speak to you on behalf of the Board of Education and the faculty and our support staff as you, the graduates, and our loved ones present pass through this time of change and celebration. A commencement speaker has a very strict job description. A good commencement speaker must warmly welcome you. He should congratulate the graduates. He should address directly the graduates, praising their parents and relatives. He or she should encourage you to strive for your highest and most noble goals. It is the speaker's job to caution you about those inevitable dangers and challenges in your life, and to fortify and to ask that you fortify yourself continually. And finally, to stimulate you to do good and avoid evil and to live a rewarding life. It is expected that in the end, we will turn ourselves off at the proper time, trusting our words will not fade away into that great void where commencement wisdom disappears. It is virtually impossible to do all of the above with sincerity, and therefore, I warmly welcome you. I humbly express my gratitude for the privilege of standing here before you today, and I sincerely congratulate our seniors on their accomplishments. The class of '96 has accomplished many things, both at Steele High and at the Lorain County Joint Vocational School, although we are still working on the subject of how to park a car within the lines rather than across the lines. I commend and acknowledge whatever force has helped you reach this graduation, whether it is God or parents or relatives or friends or teachers, or in some cases, I suspect, blind luck. But from this point on, what I'm going to say is on my own. I do not speak from custom or from tradition, for it is time for me to speak to you as a person who, not so many years ago, was sitting in that very same place, waiting for the speeches to end and the diplomas to be delivered. Now, the preceding part of my talk has been for everyone. This part of my talk, I am turning my attention to the senior class assembled here on our stage. I have watched many, many graduations over the years and have been involved in a few myself. I've heard thousands, perhaps millions, of words mouthed by speakers, and I have taken notes and kept track of thoughts and ideas that seem meaningful, or at least meaningful to me. Reverend Henry, I like the idea that responsibility and choice are often unapplauded. I may steal that for some future graduation. There is a business, a very well-known business here in Lorain County, and hanging on the wall in the main office of that business is a sign that says, "Plain talk builds respect." Plain talk builds respect. No garbage, no flim-flam, no technical language, just words that everyone can understand. Over the years, I have tried to develop some words, plain talk, if you will, for graduating seniors. The nature of our time together dictates that I add or delete from that list as the years pass. And there are those in the audience who have heard those words before, some many times. And I make no apology for those words, for they are not for you, they are for the seniors here assembled, our graduates. Seniors, I once heard a 45-year-old man whine that he was not successful in life because of something that happened in his life, something way back in his high school years. Now, it may or may not have actually happened, but he chose to remember it that way. This man was not a particularly happy person, and to hear him talk something he did constantly, his life had been downright unsatisfying. All this unhappiness he blamed for some real or imaginary slight while he was in school many, many, many years ago. It would be interesting if we at school actually had that much power and authority. It would be interesting if a person's life was totally shaped by 12 or 13 years of school. The fact is, that is total and utter nonsense. This time spent in school is but a short time in the drama or the comedy that is our life. You may excuse your failures in life by blaming others, the school or the church or the government or neighbors or even parents, but that is seldom the reality. The reality is that what you choose to do or what you fail to choose to do will have much more bearing on your success and satisfaction in life than one or two happenings that took place in the distant past. Put the negatives behind you, put the negative people behind you, and don't waste your time or your memory. Don't team up with negative people. And perhaps most important, don't choose a negative person as your life mate. They will, in the long run, make you miserable. Never, in my 35 years in this career, has a prospective employer or college recruiter called and asked me about a student's grades. Never once. I swear to you that is true. They can see all of that information on the transcript or on the application. What the employer asks is he on time? Is he absent from school much? Is she enthusiastic? Or is he or she a positive person who sees good things in people? Or is this person a negative, a wet blanket, a loser who always has reasons that they cannot get the job done? This is the one who takes the easy way out, a person who blames others and makes excuses. We all know people like that, and only you can control how we will answer that question in the future. Next, a number of years ago, an Amherst senior, I think 9 years ago now, an Amherst senior stood in this spot before an audience much like this one and delivered her valedictorian's address. Her words struck me, and I asked her for a copy of her speech. I told you I write down good thoughts. She spoke about time, and she said, "Time is unrelenting. Time is unforgiving. Time allows no excuses." Plain talk. That is a very important message, senior. You have very little time on this earth. I know it has moved slowly up to now, and perhaps more slowly at this moment, but I can guarantee you it will move with astonishing speed over the passing years until one day you will look back and wonder how you got to this age, this time. Where did your time go? I know there are people sitting in this audience today who understand perfectly what I'm talking about. Our graduation speaker 10 years ago said, "If there is one thing I can promise you about the future, it is that someday you will look back and you will wish you had more time, that you could use your time differently." Time is unforgiving. Time allows no excuses. You will make the choice now, and there will be no going back. Next. No matter where you go, there you are. I know a person who is very fond of saying that. She says it all the time, no matter what happens. You drop a piece of paper on the floor, no matter where you go, there you are. And I'm not sure what she really means when she says it, but she says it all the time. But for me, there's a lot of truth to that, especially at graduation. No matter where you go in this world, you will take all of the education and the experiences that make up you with you. Your parents, your teachers and staff, your minister or rabbi or priest, all have become part of you, of what you are. We will be judged by you and you by us, and I suspect we will be amazed to learn the things we remember about one another 20 years from now. Whether you finished all of your years at Amherst Steele High School or your final years at the Joint Vocational School, you will always be judged as a graduate of that school. If our reputation is bad, that reputation will follow you, haunt you, and perhaps hurt you in your future life. If that reputation is good, that too will follow you as you seek a job, a college, or a career. Whether you like it or not, your school has become part of your being, part of yourself, upon which others will judge you. From this day forward, how you judge your school may well determine how others judge you. No matter where you go, there we are. Next, I ask you to remember that some of the finest people that you will ever meet, some of the best friends that you will ever have, are sitting in this room today. Your parents and your classmates. A member of the graduating class 2 years ago said, as we were discussing plans for graduation, it doesn't matter where we are, it matters who we're with. A beautiful thought. Seniors, keep contact with your classmates. You have shared a common experience and a common background, and I promise you, you will never be sorry. Graduates, over the past 13 years, we on the staff have graded you and probed you and measured you. We have thousands of test results in our files, and many people may think that they know you. But seniors, that is not true. For all of our tests, for all of our measures, we cannot measure your inner drive and your spirit. Only you and only time will know that. Please believe me when I say that there are graduates here today, perhaps honor students, who will fail in their lives. And there are those who may not have done as well in the classroom who will succeed beyond belief because they have the inner drive, the spirit to do that. Seniors, remember, no one can measure your heart. Next, to the class of '96, never in this time in our history have graduates had the opportunities that you have. If you have learned anything about history, about medicine, about governments, about warfare and peace, about technology, about survival of mankind, you will understand what I'm saying. There are those who will try to tell you different, usually the media and usually for their own profit. There will be those who try to tell you differently in order to excuse their own failures, their own poor choices. Please, please, I beg you, don't listen. Don't listen to those who would have you believe that you cannot or will not have your personal moment of glory, your time in the sun. Graduates, America remains the land of opportunity. Think about it. Millions are trying to get into this country. People who would do almost anything, risking death, even kill to get into this country. There are not millions trying to get out. Young ladies and gentlemen, there is a reason for that. This is a great time to be alive in America. Finally, graduates of the class of '96, on behalf of the Board of Education and the faculty and staff of the Amherst Schools, we are proud of you. We wish you harmony with one another, and especially harmony with yourself. We wish you success. The joy is in the pursuit, not in the winning. And most of all, we wish you peace. May God bless us all. Thank you.
couple days ago, Mr. Roth asked me, well, what are you going to say this year? And I said, well, I don't know. I usually come to this podium at this point in time, and I have a couple things prepared, and then depending on what everyone else said, I kind of pick up the pieces. Reverend Henry covered responsibility real well. And believe me, I truly believe that responsibility is the key. David Voss said many of the things I wanted to say. And then Chris cleaned up on them real well. So I guess at this time what I'd like to do is to say goodbye to my seniors. And before I say goodbye to my seniors, I'd like to just congratulate the moms and dads sitting out there. I take you back to the day they were born, and that you held them in your hands, and you hugged them. 17 and 18 years go by pretty darn quick. And I congratulate you for what you have done, because you're the first teacher, and you're the number one teacher. And you can be proud of what you've produced. So congratulations to you. To the seniors, we have now come to what I call the Y in the road. You will go your direction, and we'll stay at 450 Washington Street. But you're going to, as Mr. Dolman said, take, whether you like it or not, you're going to take a piece of us with you. You will go down, in my mind, I've been in the school system 17 years, and you will go down in my mind as being one of the top classes that have ever graduated from Marion Steele High School, and I mean that sincerely. You set, academically, you don't take a back seat to any class that I can recall. Athletically, you set new standards for many people, for the kids coming up in the future to strive to beat. And we talk about leadership. If you remember back on the first day of school, I talked about that you will set the tone. And ladies and gentlemen, you did it. You set a fantastic tone. And as I think back, it all started on the first day that you were actually seniors in your minds, and that was the day that the last year's class left, and some of you got a little rambunctious and did a little bit of painting on a locker. But I knew on that day, I walked in my office and I had the biggest smile on my face, and I just said, hallelujah. And Mr. Ross says, what are you so happy about? And I said, this is going to be a great class. And the reason I knew it was going to be a great class is because I went up to Ricky Snyder and I pointed my finger at him and I said, I want that locker cleaned up, and I want it cleaned up now. I don't care who did it. And then I went on the PA and I almost swore. I didn't, but I almost did. But then I walk out in the hallway, and there are 35, maybe more, cleaning that locker off. And I knew right then that this was going to be a special class. I'm going to miss you. I'm proud to have been your principal. I wish you good luck. Most importantly, I wish you good health, because without good health, you have nothing else. You're part of our pride and you're part of our tradition. Go out and take on the world because you have the ability. I love you, and may God bless you. Assembled candidates, having completed all of the requirements of the State of Ohio and the Board of Education of the Amherst Exempted Village School District, have earned and are thus awarded a high school diploma. We are honored to present the class of 1996 of the Amherst Steele High School.
David Patrick Voss. Jamie Joelle Hunt. Richard Landon Schneider. Rachel Ann Giacobbe. Jonathan Paul Javar. Lindsay Ann Dietrich. Brandon Warner Burns. Amy Lynn Graham. Christopher John Luca. Heather Marie Bass. Robert Christopher Sproul. Janine Marie Abraham. Christopher Mark Stillwell. Annette Alitza Aarons. Matthew Richard Britt. Deanne Christine Andriovich. Aaron Donald Lee. Denise Elaine Androvich. George Oliver Adams III. Erica Francine Aponte. James Arliss Adamson III. Jennifer K. Eros. Adam Grant Anderson. Beth Ann Aschenbach. Stanley John Grisco, Jr. Jody Denise Barb.
Don Anderson. Danielle Bauer. Barry Byron Beal. Joyce Marie Bennington. Scott Michael Bellman. Kylie Marie Bigger. Kyle Nelson Baki. Crystal Ann Bohr. Ronald James Borman. Kelly Ann Bowens. Jason Andrew Brown. Virginia Bruger. Jason Roy Bunovich. Karen Mary Camarillo. Edward Barton Bursell. Stacy Renee Cameron. David Ross Burke. Julie Capo. Joseph Paul Borelli. Sangita Cherakuri. Justin Michael Byer. Tara Childress. Guy Anthony Camera Jr. Abby Serrata. Jason Christner. Karen Comstock. Andrew J. Cluck. Jennifer Ann Cummings. Scott Dahl. Erica Michelle Denich. Todd Damashevitz. Jacqueline Dickinson. Jeremy Scott Dusho.
Jennifer Doyle. Jeremy Edwards. Stephanie Shea Dyke. Michael Fox. Jennifer Marie DeJama. Joseph Anthony Gargas. Angela Marie Elliott. Charles Gessner. Andrea Marie Ferris. Christopher Lee Geyer. Jennifer Filko. Brian Thomas Goodwin. Hillary Ann Fortner. Harold L. Gordner. Jennifer Renee Garcia. Daniel Stevenson Gross. Josephine Gonzalez. John Guzman. Lori Suzanne Gonzalez. Jacob Joseph Ham. Christy Lynn Green. Evan Handyside. Tammy Marie Grizzle. James Robert Heller. Amanda Marie Hanko. Chris Allen Hester. Jody Lynn Harkula. Jason Lee Howard. Victoria Hartle. Eric Dean Hunker. Paula Louise Heisey. Frederick Howard Ings II. Jennifer Marie Hirschman.
Justin Johnson. Andrea Danielle Johnson. Robert Cato. Aaron Johnson. Clint Richard Nipper. Rebecca Lee Johnson. Quentin Neal Croy. Stephanie Lynn Kiesman. Corey LaFlamme. Elizabeth Ann Kilpatrick. James Robert Laheta. Katie Clamert. Chad Lukachko. Kimberly Plakoda. Jeremy Lumbey. Heather Marie Colino. Todd Mahar. Jamie Ann LaCourse. Robert Matisek. Barbara Elaine Lesner. Ryan Jason McGee. Jamie Rose Lewis. Adam James Mishak. Jennifer Lau. Jeremy Paul Mitter. Adrian McGuire. Jason Robert Nam. Courtney Brooke McKay. Nick Papandapis. Ashley Malin. Michael Anthony Patton. Joy Elizabeth Marling. Stephen Michael Pavlik.
Robert Lee Marshall. Michael Penna. Susan Martin. Christopher Perch. Beth Mathewson. Christopher Phillips. Melissa Matitak. Michael Queen. Shannon Marie Mazer. Christopher Joseph Radman. Alicia Marie Maza. Michael Radman. Elizabeth Ann McCain. Richard Ramsey. Christy McAllister. Anthony Riccardi. Erin Heather McQuaid. Martin Robinson. Jamie Lynn Mylander. Sean Patrick Roseback. Shannon Diane Michaels. Scott R. Roth. Jessica Morrow, Jason Andrew Rothman, Michelle Lynn Michelin, David Sanborn, Regina Mosier, Joseph Sarnofsky, Heidi Marie Mueller, Daniel Thomas Schramm, Kathleen Marie Maniga, James Brian Shuka, Jessica Lynn Neal.
Nicholas Anthony Servoso. Heather Ann Niski. Michael James Sexton. Shannon Marie Nye. Jeffrey Scott Shadle. Meeta Suresh Patel. Stephen Christopher Skinstos. Melissa Ann Pavlicek. Joshua Adam Soy. Kristen Elizabeth Pollock. William Joseph Spellman. Trish Ann Pershinsky. Robert Anthony Stack. Jody Lynn Petrus. Kenneth Sean Stafford. Melissa Kristen Phillips. Gary Thomas Stanrodsky. Erica Lynn Plum. Jeremiah James Studstill. Dawn Marie Pullen. Walter Thomas Chasesny. Jennifer Lynn Rathwell. Denver Lee Tomlin. Sonia Marie Rice. Kenneth James Vitals. Heather Marie Ryder. Michael Antonio Volpe. Allison Lynn Romas. James Trevor Wagner. Holly Marlene Schreiber. Wesley Robert Waite. Angela Lynn Schroeder. Brent Garwell Walters.
Christopher White. Stephen Thomas Williams. Erin Catherine Schuler. Brenda Louise Salent. Erica Nicole Schaffstall. Allison Hope Sidlecki. Robin Lynn Sinigar. Angela Grace Sleesman. Nicole Renee Sprenger. Laurie Ann Stackhouse. Melissa Ann Standen. Melissa Joy Staveski. Kelly Rose Stiegel. Meredith Valletta Stitak. Megan Carissa Sartorius. Mandy Britannia Zally. Stacy Marie Thomas. Catherine Ellen Tisich. Amy Marie Chukamangas. Dina Lynn Tudich. Emma Marie Verchek. Janelle Cody Waldecki. Jamie Renee Walters. Jennifer Ann Wasilewski. Courtney Claire Wassam. Jennifer Weber. Stephanie Louise Wenzel. Jessica Lynn Westcott. Mary Court Weston. Julie Marie Wetzel. Angela Yakabuchi. Amy Farkash. Valerie Stoller. Christopher Keith Hoops. Christopher John Slatt. Michael Allen Lugar. After the benediction, we would ask that everyone in the audience please remain in your seats while the class recesses out. Thank you.
All who are able, would you please stand and receive the benediction? Go from here with open arms, with heads held high, and with love in your hearts. Each one of us is beautiful and loved by God. No matter what happens, always remember that. Always believe in yourselves. Go out and follow your dreams. And if your dreams go up in smoke, build new dreams and follow them. Grab hold of your future and change the world for the betterment of all humanity and all creation. Be everything you can be. Be at peace with your neighbor and with your God, and strive to be happy. Amen.